Welcome to Matplotlib bars lecture. So in this lecture we're going to be creating multiple bar graphs. If I click on this link here to the Matplotlib gallery, we'll be taken to a web page where we can see a vast array of different graphs that we can create with Matplotlib. And I encourage you to check out the website. Now of course I'm not going to be going over all of these graphs within this particular section called Matplotlib, but I will be going over the primary ones just to show you what we can do. Okay, so I'm going to go back into Jupyter Notebook and I'm going to import the relevant modules. So import matplotlib.pyplots as plt, and then numpy as np, random as rd, and lastly pandas as pd. And then we'll also do %sign matplotlib inline. And this particular line is only applicable to Jupyter Notebook, so you can't use this in, say, another IDE such as Atom or Piezo. And what it is a magic method or function. Okay, so I'm just going to run that. And now what we'll do is create some data. So data equals 10, 25, 100, and 40, so it's a list. Then we'll have a tuple. Register equals 0, 1, 2, and 3. And then another tuple, pets equals cats, dog, hedgehog, and let's say bunny. Okay, so we've got two tuples and our data list here. And now we're going to plot our data. So before I do that though, plt.figure, and we'll just do fig size is 8 by 4, and then we'll do plt.bar, and this is the method we're going to be using to create our bar graph. And this is going to have register data, then width is 0.8, and let's say color equals a tuple of M, R, B, and G, so Magneta, red, blue, and green. And then we'll do plt.show for now, see what we get as our output. Okay, so what we have at the moment is a very sparse looking graph, and we have Magneta, red, blue, and green. Now what if I want to change these on the x-axis from being these float numbers to the actual pet tuple? So instead we'll have cat, dog, hedgehog, and bunny. Well, what we'll do is, let's say we add a title first, so plt.title, favorites pets, and then do font size equals 20, and then we'll do plt.xticks, which is going to change the float numbers to our pets tuple, and we'll have register, and then we'll do pets, and run that. Okay, great, so we've got cat, dog, hedgehog, and bunny. What if we want to add a legend as well? Because we've got plenty of space in this graph, as you can see here. So we'll do plt.legend, and before I run this method, what I have to do is create a variable here. Let's call this b equal to plt.bar, and then we'll put this b variable into our legend, and then pets. And also we'll do a font size, let's say 20, and we'll run that. Okay, so we've got a rather large legend here, so I'm just going to shrink this down a little bit. As you can see, what's done automatically by default is move the legend in the appropriate location within the empty spaces available for our graph, which I think is pretty neat. Okay, so what if we wanted to change the width? Well, if I change this to, let's say 1, notice the space between these two bars. As you can see, all the bars now have them right next to each other, and if I were to, of course, do 0.2, they're going to be really far apart and also really skinny. Okay, so let's say we want to have, instead of it being the, put that to 0.8, instead of it being the vertical bars, we wanted horizontal bars. So going, instead of from bottom to top, we go from left to right. Well, we only have to do a very minor modification. So instead of bar, we do bar H for horizontal, and we also have to change the width here to height. We'll run that. Okay, great. So it's not quite ideal. We still have a problem here. We've got our tuple now that is all mishmashed together, and we also have these floats here. So what we have to do is change this from being the x-axis to the y-axis. Now we have y ticks, and if I run this, as you can see, we have the desired output. Okay, so we just double click here, and now let's say we create a new graph, and we create some data. So we'll do rd.seed 10, so you get the same numbers as me, and then I'll do drinks. So it's going to be hot drinks for our new graph. We're going to have 3 nested lists, and I'm going to hold the control and left tab and left tab. Then we'll do rd.sample range 1 to 20, comma, 5, and then comma. And then we'll do drinks. Okay, so you should have the exact same output as me, so 19 to 10 for the first nested list, 1 to 14 for the second, and then 9 to 18 for the third and final. Alright, so we've got our data, and now we're going to plot this. So we'll do x equals np dots a range 5, which is the equivalent to what we had before with the register. And that's going to be for the allocations of the bars. And then I'll do a tuple, just like we had for pets. It's called days. And it's going to be Mon, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and then Friday for Friday. Okay, so we've got our tuple, and we have an array here, a one-dimensional array. And then we'll do plt.bar. And actually, what I'm going to do is, because we're running the code 3 times, we'll just do control left tab and left tab. plt.bar x plus 0.00 drinks index 0. We'll change that in a moment. The color equals B for blue, of course. Then width equals 0.25. And label equals, let's say, latte. So we'll do hot drinks here. Okay, so I'm going to just change this now to, if I spelled this correctly, I think it's cappuccino. I could be wrong, correct me if I am. And lastly we'll do tea. And then we'll just change these to the appropriate colors, so R for reds, and G for green. Then index this, so 1, and 2, and also this as well. 2, 5, and 5. And then we'll do plt.show for the moment. And just to note that the drinks, which is the list that we created with the 3 nested lists, of course 0 is going to just grab this list, 1 this list, and 2 this list here. Okay, so run that, and what we have is the output. Great. But the problem is, I noticed with the third location, is that we have all 3 bars, blue, red, and green, are the same length, the same height, which doesn't really make sense. It's not really something that we'd see in real data. So what I'm going to do is just go back to the drinks data and change this to 12. And hopefully we'll get something that's more manageable. Okay, so you should have the same output as me here. And I'm just going to run this now. Okay, great, that's a lot more realistic. And we'll just do plt.title hot drinks, and I'll do font size equals, say, 20, and that's, okay, that's great. And then I'll do, let's say, plt.xticks, and we'll have x and days. So I'll change the numbers, these integer numbers, to the days. Okay, now we want also to have a legend here. So I'll do plt.legend, and I'll do, what do I do for legends? Fonts, let's see, font size equals 15. Just run it as that. Okay, so it's not really ideal having it there because it's overlapping on our bar chart. So I'm going to move this outside. So lock, and I'll do 1.1 and let's say 0.4. So hopefully it should be around this location. Okay, great. That's not too bad. I'm going to just change that to 1. or 1.05. Alright, that's fine. Okay, so what if I wanted to have this be horizontal, like we had before the previous example of the pets? Well, again, it's only a very minor modification. All we have to do is change the width to height. So if you just do double click and then hold control and double click, and actually I have to just hold control and uncursor that, then do height, and we'll just do control left tab and left tab, bar for H, and I'll just check how the output is at the moment. Okay, it's not too bad, but what I also have to do is change this to Y ticks. Okay, great, that's perfectly fine. Alright, so moving on from that, let's say we're to do something whereby instead of having these 15 bars, we only have a total of 5 bars, but it's still displaying the same amount of information. So how can we do that? Well, firstly, what we'll do is create this again. We're actually going to do something much more simpler. So actually, the Control and A, and then Control and C to copy, and then Control and V to paste. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're going to get rid of, if I can just Control and left tab and left tab, and just delete all of this, and the colors as well. And then we'll do left, actually I'm going to do bottom. And this is actually only for the bar vertical, not the bar horizontal, so I'm going to change that in a moment. So bottom equals mp.sum drinks, then I'll do 0, I'll change that in a moment of course, then axis equals 0, and comma there. Okay, that's fine, and then what we need to do is change this to 1 and 2, and remove the H's here. And also I need to remove this, so Control and left tab, and then just do comma. Okay, so that should be good to go. And I'll explain in a moment what's happening. Okay, so I need to change the Y to X. Okay, great. So what's happening here, as you can see, is now we have only 5 bars, and all of the data is stacked up on each one of these bars. So we have Monday being the highest, and Friday being the second lowest, and then Tuesday being the lowest. Alright, so if I just show you the drinks data, so on this one here, drinks, and then if I do np.sum drinks, and then axis equals 0, what's happening is that we have a total of 5 outputs here. What it's doing is that the axis equals 0 is for the columns. So if you just stack all of these nested lists, the 3 of them, on top of each other, so this one would be first, second, and then third, you'd have a total of 5 columns. So 0 to 4 or 1 to 5. And it's simply adding each of the values. So we have, let's say for instance, this one here, 3 plus 5 is 8, and 8 plus 18 is 26, which is what we get here. And if I were to do 1, this is going to add all the rows as opposed to the columns. So we're only going to have 3 outputs. And what it's done is add all of the values in each of the nested lists. So if we add 15, 8, 1, 5, and 18, we get 47. Alright, and also, if we were to do I'll just show you this. So I'm going to do for I in range 1 to 4, colon, and then I'll do print np.sum drinks index I, and also I have to do axis equals 0. And that should be inside of it, excuse me. There we go. Okay, so we've got 16, 29, and 44. So if we take a look at this one here for Monday, as you can see, its highest value is all the way up to 44. and this one is here is 29, and this blue one here is 16. So that's essentially what's happening. It's adding each of these into this bar here. And the same with this one here. So you have 3, then you have 8, and then you have 26. Okay, so 26 is the highest value here. Alright, so what if we wanted to make this a horizontal? Well, again, it's pretty simple. All we have to do is change this from bottom to being height, or excuse me, bottom to being left. So just Control, double click on the left tab, then we'll do left, then change this to bar horizontal, and also just change this to Y so we get the correct axis. And that should be good to go. Okay, great. So what if I wanted to do just one line of code instead of just the PLT bar H? It's quite long to do 3 of them. What if I just wanted one with the same output? Well, what I can do is just delete this, and I'll delete this as well. And I'm going to copy that, paste it here, and then we'll compare in a moment. Okay, so I can do, in fact, actually, I'll just delete all of this, and we'll have colors equals B. Just change the colors, so orange, and let's say green. Then for I in range 3 colon plt.bar h, and we're going to do x minus 1. So that's going to reverse the value. So instead of it being like this, if we do colon colon minus 1, it's going to be 4 to 0. And then I'll do the drinks I, and then left equals np.sum drinks colon I, then axis equals 0, the color equals colors I, and then plt.y ticks x days comma comma, and then we'll do plt.show. Okay, that should be np.sum. Oopsie. Okay, great. So we have pretty much the same output. We just haven't included the title or the legend. So just take a look and make a comparison here. Alright, there's a slight issue, and that is the Monday is at the top, whereas here the Monday is at the bottom. So what I want to do is move that, and I can do that by changing that, and I've got the Friday now, but I need to make this a Monday, so I'll just change this to, okay, so great, we have the exact same output. And what if I wanted to do this with list comprehension? Well, it's pretty straightforward. So I'll have plt.bar h x drinks I left equals np.sum drinks I, axis equals 0, and then we have color equals colors I, for I, should be for I in range 3. I'm just going to lower this down, and then we'll do plt.show, and that should be good to go. Okay, great. So we've got the exact same output. And lastly, let's say we want to do one whereby we have an axis or the bars coming out on the middle of the graph. So we'll have, let's say, women equals np.array. We'll have 5, 30, 45, and 22. And then men equals np.array. Let's just say 5, 25, 50, and 20. And then we'll have x equals np.arrange for, and then we'll have hobbies equals, let's say, video games, gym, Udemy, and let's say painting. And then we'll do plt.figure, fig size equals, let's say 8 by 4, then plt.bar h, and we'll have x women, color equals red, label equals f, then plt.bar h x men x men, and then we'll have, let's say, b, label equals m, and then we'll do plt.legend, font size equals 15, lock equals 1.1, 0.7, and then plt.show. Okay, it's not quite what I wanted, so I have to do a minus here, and you'll see in a moment what the difference is. Okay, great. So as you can see here, this is a pretty neat output. Okay, so this concludes my lecture on bar charts. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Thanks.